Hey everybody, this is Chris. Today I'm going to show you in detail how to build a carving bench. And of course I use no electrical power tools. Now there's a link at the end of the video for a much shorter time-lapse version. Like all my projects, this is a grand woodworking adventure. So if you enjoy this, please subscribe. Here we go. Well, here we are. This guy's restoring a Corvette. He needs more room. So we had to get rid of this walnut. $100. It's all mine. Okay, shave down the sides. Now I'm going to take it inside, draw knife it, plane it, and square them up. I've completed my initial axe work. Now let's take a closer look at this piece of wood. If you look closely, you'll see that there's what I call greater than hairline cracks, and this happened during the drying process. What I'm going to do is douse these cracks with super glue that'll penetrate deeply and keep the cracks from spreading. Hi, this entire piece is cupped. If you look at it with a straight edge, you can see all the way down. So I'm going to have to plane this out, the top and the bottom, to flatten it out. There's also a knot right here that goes all the way through. So I'm going to cut this off because knots cause all kinds of cracking issues. Alright, let's get started. I have two types of scrapers. I have a scrub plane which I made myself by widening the throat. Then I have a shorter plane and a long plane. This side is cupped the other way, so I'm going to have to plane the outsides. I flattened the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to square one side using my draw knife and my plane, and then with this square side I'm going to cut the ends off square. Almost there. I've been working on this for most of the day. It's now flat and square. Every muscle in my body is throbbing, and I think it feels great. Now I'm going to go to bed, get up in the morning, put on a clean shirt, and hit it again. A buddy of mine told me he had some Brazilian Purple Heart stored in the loft of his barn for over 25 years. Check this out. Okay. Here's the barn. Got a nice Twinkie. Toys. Classic radio flyer, very nice. And there's the loft. Ooh, interesting. I'm just not going to ask any questions. That's nice. There's a nice pile of raccoon poop. Wait a second. Alright, here we go. There's one. Purple Heart. I hope there's no critters in here. Oops. Oops. There it is. Don't ask questions. Success! Purple Heart. This Purple Heart, it's awesome. but I have to use it very sparingly because I don't have a lot of it. It's going to be very, very, very painful cutting through this because it's such dense, hard wood, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, I've got my walnut, now I've got my purple heart, so I'm good on wood. I'm good on tools, so now I just have to go find the parts.
Show them $15, buyer $59.
Well, it's a great auction. I got this really nice old toolbox. I got 3 single bevel hatchets, a regular axe head, a nice broad axe, a nice combination axe head and adze, and then a leg vise. So I'm going to clean all this up and start using it. A local flea market today looking for some parts. Check this out. Hey, how much you got on this? I've been collecting these screw and vise parts over the last 2 years, knowing that I might need them for a project. Here we are. Well, I've got my wood, I've got my tools, and my usable parts. Now I have to figure out how to connect all this together without screws or nails, but probably some glue. Okay, things are beginning to take shape. We've got the walnut core surrounded by purple heart, a front vise in purple heart, and a side vise in purple heart. The wooden screw boxes are going to be inset into the purple heart on this side, and I'm going to inset the metal ring into the purple heart on this side. Now let's cut everything to length. Everything is now cut to length. Now I'm going to drill the holes for the wooden screws. There comes a time in every project where I have to use my brain. This is that time. The walnut is 3 inches thick. The wooden screw is 2.5 inches thick. If I drill a hole through the whole thing, then there'll be no material for strength and the board will just break in half. So I'm going to use my post drill and some chisels to carve a hole that's about 4 inches deep. This is where the screws will move in and out and engage with the screw box. Then I'm going to use my T-auger to drill a smaller hole that goes through the rest of the board. So now there's plenty of material here for strength. The last thing I'm going to do is use my foot-powered lathe to turn down the threads for the screw that goes in here so it's nice and snug. So as this is moving out, the screws in here will provide stability. Here we go. Then it's going to be inset. Doggone it. You can see I've turned down the threads. Now it fits down in there perfectly. Then goes the screw box. Now recall the screw box is going to be inset into the purple heart. And then the vise is going to go here. So this screw is actually going to fit just like that. And I've got 5 inches of play, which would be more than enough for a carving table. Let's go to the next step. I've drilled the holes through the vise boards to accommodate the wooden screw. I've also drilled the holes for the dowels that will connect the wooden screw to the vise board, so as I turn the screw in and out, the board will come with it. Very nice. Now I'm going to install the second vise. I purposely moved over this wooden screw on this side to accommodate space for this. I simply need to cut this off so it doesn't run into it. And this will all be inset into the wood. Here we go. I want to point out a couple of important things that you saw in that last sequence. First of all, the screw box, it's floating. It's not attached because it needs to move a little bit as the wood screw goes in and out. Secondly, I cut up the leather chaps and attached them to the face of the vise so it protect the wood when I would clamp it. Thirdly, you can see I oiled the wood down to really bring out the beauty. And lastly, I show you how I attached this carving table to the workbench. Let me show that to you in a little more detail. I've made this fastener board with a hole in it. I put it into my vise here. It goes into the table. I pin it. And I tighten it down. To keep it from sliding, I've added this removable peg which goes down into the workbench. I've also blocked off the back. Now if I want to raise this to a different height, I use a series of blocks. Let me show you. And finally, I need to make some bench dogs. So I use some leftover wood with a coat hanger. it's amazing what you can do with wood that you found in someone's garage or had been stored in a barn for 25 years with no electrical power tools. This is so beautiful, I don't even want to use it. I just want to put it aside and look at it. But that's not why I built it. Let's try it out. I originally planned on making a functioning guitar until I realized how truly complex it is to make. Full respect to all you guitar makers out there. So I decided to start with something simple. You can see the advantage of a carving bench. With all the vices in the holes, you can clamp almost any shape. I hope you enjoyed this video and all my videos. Now here's some final details at the end. Thank you.